Nick, you came here with some questions for Paul. I know we asked a lot about you, and so Paul, he's going to hit you with some. He's been binge watching.
I feel it's like win Ben Stein's money. Like I'm here to like just. I'm in the.
You remind me of him.
I love Ben Stein. If people say who's the one person you have dinner with, it'd be Ben Stein.
Really, not Jesus or
Bueller.
I don't meet with fictional characters.
Paul, come on.
That'll get him some viewers real quick.
Yeah, they love that. Oh,
I'm just kidding.
That'll get viewers, right.
I do believe Jesus existed.
Go ahead, Nick.
I do believe Jesus existed.
Give it to Paul. What do you got?
In one of your podcasts, you talked about how your goal, like how you look at goals have changed recently. And I was wondering if you expand on that for me a little bit, because I think...
it used to be, accumulate as much money as possible. And now it's enjoy life, which is see, I don't like being cheesy, and but it's so cliche. I said cliche.
Plie, yeah. It's a new word.
Isn't that a ballet term?
That's plie. I was going to go
plie.
there.
Thank you. That's plie. When you start to get some financial success and realize that the problems are still the same, then you just start doing things that just, hey, what am I going to do this for? I want to do this to make me happy. The goals will take care of themselves. The end results will take care of themselves. I used to look at houses that were 30,000 square feet and say, God, I can't wait to have that. Now I look at them and go, God, look how much work that would be to take care of. And I only noticed that in the last 6-9 months, maybe a year, but it's more of the, now just sitting there saying, and I hate the cheesy stuff, but it's like the journey. Can somebody please punch me right now for saying this stupid stuff?
Listen to me carefully. I use, for good or bad, I never asked for your permission, but I think, so what is it? People like seeing successful people fail a lot, right? There's like a
I talk about failure a lot.
And I, not even telling you, I use that because I have people.
What do you mean you use that?
I use it to say to people like, well, I got a buddy who's got a ton of money and a lot of successful businesses, and he struggles with anxiety that you've gone through, not having a spouse, maybe not wanting a spouse, but not having a spouse. I don't know if you ever wanted kids, but you don't have any. And so I realized I can see a propped up version of myself and maybe realize that, we struggle with the same things at times, emotions. We struggle with learning new skills, guitar, Spanish, playing tennis. I mean, so like I actually use your failures to be like, well, I got a buddy that's got this, and that's not going to help you. Like the money is not going to help you overcome maybe anxiety about things or depression.
That's and you talk about relationships. People always say like, oh, I'm happy with that person. I think that's a terrible thing to say. It's, are you happy and can you be happy together? That's it. Because if you're not happy, it doesn't matter who you bring in your life. That's a temporary fix. The euphoria is going to be gone in 18 to 24 months, according to science. So are you happy? Are you doing the things? I think I realized that, I was like, man, the wealth has gone from X to Y, and yet the problems are at least the same. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, but now, in the last 18 months, 24 months, I'm like, man, life has been phenomenal. I've been just, the goals now are,
Do you think the goals can you think your goals and the way you look at them, can they be the same for the 24-year-old version or 30-year-old version of yourself? Maybe not with the success and money. It's always interesting to
be more specific. What do you mean by that?
So you talk about the journey. Right. And I talk about that quite a bit.
I just vomited again hearing me say that.
Right. But for me, if you can find the success in the journey, right? And you talked a bit about it on one of the other podcasts. So I wonder if the way you look at a goal can be constructive, or can somebody who is still striving for the success that you have financially, right? Mm-hmm. Because you take the emotional side, you have kids, you don't have kids, all that stuff. You take that, and what this podcast is really talking about is the financial piece of it. Like, how can you be successful financially and enjoying the journey and all that stuff? I found it super interesting because you say the past 24 months you've really enjoyed things. I will tell you, my life in the past 24 months is kind of following that same path, where I get up in the morning and it's like, just good.
Don't you have to have a certain level of wealth?
No.
To start enjoying the journey?
No.
Yeah.
So, no, you don't.
I see people waiting for the bus, going to some shit job.
They could be happy, and I see people in Ferraris and Lamborghinis who are unhappy. Some of the most miserable people I know are the rich people. So you talk about Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
You didn't like the book. But the thing I like about the book is it says, stop focusing on the goal. And it's true, because you have to enjoy the whole process. Yeah. If you don't enjoy practicing soccer, it's going to be very, 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 very difficult to be a good soccer player. If I actually enjoy practicing chess way more than I enjoy playing chess, which is a complete, people don't get that. I'm like, no, I thoroughly enjoy doing the lessons and doing the practicing as opposed to playing. That's the whole point about goals. I'm not saying, I do like in Atomic Habits to talk about goals. I still like the idea of having something out there like, hey, listen, what am I doing this to achieve? Right. And then go break it down. But the journey about like, I literally used to think to myself, if I'm not one of the 100 richest people in the world, I'm going to consider myself a failure. Yeah. And I do consider myself a failure if I'm not a billionaire by a certain age, but only because it says to me I didn't do the steps along the way the right way, because it's just a matter of time and numbers before I become that. It's just like if this year, but at the same point, when I say consider myself a failure, I'm not going to be devastated where I go, oh my God, I should end my life. No, it's just like, oh, well, I obviously did something wrong along the way. We look at the last 4 years, hasn't been as good for me in investing, but my process has been the right process, so I don't feel as bad about it. It's the result that makes me upset as opposed to the process. It's just like, no, Paul, you have the process. It's not going the right way. Same with chess. Sometimes I look at the rating and go, oh, but then I look at it and going, no, I'm doing this. The rating will take care of itself. And that's just the whole thing about goals and being 20. When I was 24, my goal was purely financial. That's it.
Right.
That's all it was. Until I was 35, probably my goal was completely financial. Yeah. Now it's more, and who knows what's going to happen now I shouldn't say 35, probably 32, 33, it started to change. Actually, you'd probably say 30, but when I really started to focus on it. But the biggest hard part for me now is justifying the material things that I have, not justifying them, being okay with wanting them without them defining the way we are. So like goals wise, I want to be at a place where I can go, oh, I don't mind buying this, even though it's really fancy instrument. But if I lost it, this is the conversation I have with a good friend of mine, Michael. If I lost it, would I be devastated? And I go, no. And that's the big thing. Yeah. Years ago, if I lost something expensive that I have, I'd been like, oh my God, completely devastated. The only thing I'd be upset about now is, how are you so irresponsible? Go learn from that irresponsibility. It's not the thing that matters. It's what happened that caused that thing to go away that I'd be upset about. You know what I mean? And it's like, which is a big change from 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Anyhow, so that's my goals. And when I was 24, it was like literally 100% financial related. It was just, how do I become one of the richest men in the country? Now it's more, we have 12 businesses now. And it's funny because we have 12 businesses. And I've said internally, we need to make that 8 or 9. We used to have 15 businesses, but now we're sitting there saying, listen, I'd rather have 5, 6, 7 businesses that do very, very well that we can hyper focus on than having the 15 businesses that some of them do okay and some of them do amazingly well. Because I'm just like, you know what? I want to have the benefit of life is, I can go work in a business and not sit there and go, why am I working in this business that does nothing for us? You know what I mean? It's more of enjoying it. So
let's talk about the journey for a quick second. You were talking about atomic habits. I'm always fascinated in what people are reading, kind of where they're getting their information from, or where they're learning from, right? So I think you said you read close to 50 to 60 books a year.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had 2 books to pick that you think could help somebody with something that you struggle with, or financially, because that's obviously.
I don't think, that's the thing. I hate to say this. I don't think there's 1 or 2. I believe your mentality will come from reading 20, 30 books and saying, I picked a little thing for, like one of the best things I ever learned was from a book called Great at Work. And it was literally one small, literally portion of it. And it was do less, but obsess. And that's the whole getting 12 businesses done. And now with our company, doing things like, I used to believe in everybody having 3 or 4 jobs. Now it's like, I feel bad because Don's kind of doing 2 jobs right now, and I can't wait for him to get out of the one and go focus on the other one. So it's to say 1 or 2 books, I can't do it. Just get yourself.
You have a favorite?
All my favorite books are all fiction books.
That's fine. Because I think for me, fiction is a way for creativity.
Anything John Grisham.
Yeah, he's great.
I love John Grisham. Yeah. He's just great. But even in nonfiction ways, it's just figure out what's important to you and go read about it. How much did you give Atomic Habits? How many pages did you give it?
So I have a process with books. I listen to them first, which I know you guys hate, and if I
don't hate it. No, I don't hate it. I just joke with people who say I read this book. I'm like, hang on a second.
I do that same thing.
It's good,
if I get through the audio, then I'll read it. Because I don't retain it at all
audio wise.
Right. So I have a rule that if you can pick one thing that you can use in your life out of a book, it was worth reading.
Yeah.
And so when I listen to it, I'm looking for that one thing that maybe I want to pick at, and it can be just one thing. read
I'll be
the
honest
book.
with you. Atomic Habits. You know what? I will tell you a book that changed my life. Ego is the Enemy.
Oh, Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday. Ego is the Enemy. And I recommend this to everybody. So what I do now is I take all my books. I don't take notes. I take a purple pen and put brackets, and then I give it to an assistant and say, put these on notes. That way later on I don't have to read the book again. But Ryan Holiday is great, and it's
He's fascinating.
that's what I think started my whole I need to change all this.
Ego is the enemy.
Ego is the enemy.
So
I have it upstairs.
My favorite.
You cannot borrow it because I'll never get it back.
Oh yeah, I won't read it either. Got to listen to it.
My favorite book is Obstacles Away by him.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that one yet. I have it upstairs though.
It is just
The Obstacle is the Way.
For me, it's based like how I build my sales forces. There's a few books that I base it on. One is Bill Walsh's Score Takes Care of Itself, which is just phenomenal.
Which, by the way, has to do with Atomic Habit. That's why I'm surprised you don't like Atomic Habits.
I'm going to go back to it now.
Because Bill Walsh's his whole mentality is, if we practice and if we do these things, these small things the right way, everything else will work out.
Yep.
Who is this? This Atomic Habit guy is from Ohio. Why
He
can't we
lives in
get him
Columbus.
in?
Because I think he charges like $1 billion to do it.
As soon as you write a book, the price goes way up.
I think he sold 1 million copies of his book.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how much he's going to charge.
Well, it's still on the top 10 list.
Listen. How far along in the audio did you get?
I got. Now I will say I might have been a little bit tainted by one of my employees.
That's fine.
So I think I got about 40 minutes in, and I was like,
How long is the audio?
I want to say 6 hours.
So you got about 10% in the way.
Yeah.
So my old English teacher in high school, Mr. Seaver, also my chess coach because I was banging bitches in high school.
Yes.
He always said, give a book 10%. If you don't like it, just get rid of it. Mm-hmm. He's like, just give it 10%. So if it's 400 pages, give it 40 pages.
I got to go back to it now, though. I feel like it's necessary.
I just think there's so many snippets in there that are just so. And I also like people who fight like conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom now is pick a goal, it's like, and then we talk about B to Y here, where it's like, no, A matters and Z matters, but after you've started
Defined.
After you define them and started it, the rest of it's B to Y. Yeah. You have to get all those other things. And that's what I like about Atomic Habits. It's not about, and maybe it is too generic. You might be right. And maybe I read that other book, Habit.
Habit by Charles Duhigg it's the driest thing. It's like, licking sandpaper, man.
See, I think Atomic Habits, I was just upstairs.
I'm going to get the book.
I got like 20 pages. I got 20 pages done and I read now way slower than I used to because I really take the effort. And if I find myself getting distracted, I go back and read. But I found myself just going, oh my God, this is a great book. Just like snippets. And I find myself almost like highlighting complete sections going, what am I doing? Like, Paul, you got to pick. I just love it. But again, and it's funny because Darnell told me to read it like 2 or 3 years ago. And I totally forgot that. And then Matt, my chess coach, was like, Paul, you got to read this, you got to read this. And I finally started reading it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a great book. And I apply it to my life. And again, I also don't want to be that guy who goes to the fads and goes, oh, I'm going to do this. I try to apply things in a way that's permanent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
How much? I mean, maybe this is a silly question, but how much better could the two of you even get? I mean,
I don't even know what that question means.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think when
there's so many people that would love to have the net worth, assets, money stream, house, car, businesses, mindset that you have, yet you're still seeking.
Maybe that's the reason why I have that. Yeah. And that's the thing I always tell people. It's I always say, talk about the money thing.
Yeah.
There are happy factory workers. There are happy waiters and waitresses.
Of course.
Right? The ultimate goal should be to be happy.
Yep.
I'm not at the point yet where I can sit there and say I'd be happy as a waiter or waitress. And that's what I need to get to that point. That's what I'm trying to achieve. To me, it's more like if I lost everything, would I still be happy? That's what I want to get to. And that's a very hard place to get.
That's I don't even know what that I'm not even in a place where I can comprehend like that concept. Like if I lost everything, am I in a place where I can be happy? That's an interesting
Listen, it's intense, but it's something that I really feel like that is I shouldn't say it's important. I look at that saying I would truly be happy in life if I knew that everything that I owned that was nice. The hardest part for me would be getting rid of the help, like the assistance.
Yeah.
Because that to me is what makes life so much easier for me. That allows me to go do the things I love. Like today I had 3 things in my house this morning. I was like, I just put on my task management app for Rosie and she's going to handle it tomorrow. I know her. But for me, the stuff is awesome, but the stuff, there's a spectrum. The stuff fully defines you and you don't give an F. I used to be this. Mm-hmm. I'm now probably here. Maybe I'm giving myself less credit than I should. Maybe I'm further along, but I'm looking at going, I still like having the nice stuff, and to me, but
that visual works well for the audio podcast.
Oh yeah, so I'm probably if 10 is The stuff really defines me. One is doesn't define me at all, and I'm completely content with everything, no matter what I have or don't have. I'm probably a 5 or 6 right now. I'm probably halfway, but I don't think you ever hit a 1. I mean, maybe Buddha hit 1, and that's about it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to.
How do you open space in your brain? Are you a meditator? Do you,
No, I don't meditate.
You don't meditate. How do you open space in the brain for creativity?
I just sit and think.
Yeah.
It's funny. People, I sleep well.
A lot.
I mean, I try to sleep. Like last night, I went to bed at 10 and woke up at 6:15. So that's 8 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. And I really believe in sleeping well. And
were you always like that?
No, I used to have insomnia problems. But I always loved sleeping in. Good God, did I? Like literally,
You gave up on that, right? You used to set like 9:45. You're still in bed on
Oh,
Saturday.
I used to have to set my alarm for 9:30 on Saturdays to wake up.
Yeah.
Now it's only because I go to bed earlier now that I wake up. And the funny thing is, so my sister-in-law goes to bed at 8:30 and she wakes up like 4:45. But she always jokes and says, "Don't give me credit for it because you just stay up later." But I've now found that I'm more productive now getting up at 6:15 because I'm not a morning person. So I need to be in my own element studying. That's when I do my Spanish, my chess. I need to be able to do that. And it's way better than staying up till midnight now doing that stuff. Because at night I just want to relax. Whether it's read or watch TV with the pups. I don't even read now at home. Unless it's fiction is the only thing I read at home now. If it's not fiction, I'm not reading at home. I only read like the nonfiction stuff at work. Fiction's all at home. And John Grisham has a new book coming out. I pre-ordered it. I'm pretty excited. Camino wins.
A good kind of combination of John Grisham, not really, but it's a fable. Patrick Lucioni writes a bunch of books.
I don't know him.
But he writes the business lesson in kind of a story. They're quick. They're good for me when I first started getting into books because they were quick and they were fast, and he was telling you a story. So you were like, what's going to happen at the end?
FYI, people, he hates Atomic Habits, but the big thing they talk about in Atomic Habits is do quick, easy things that gets you into the habit.
Okay, I'm back. I got to go back to that.
You might be the author of Atomic Habits.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to that. I'm going to have to eat my words on that and go back to that one. Let me ask you a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I ask this of everybody that I come in contact with because I think it's a difficult question to answer. But Tony Hsieh asked it from Zappos. He asked it of anybody.
Did you read his book?
I have not.
Oh, that's a good book.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
everybody
good book.
says it's been recommended to me, but on my list, things gets pushed back.
Yeah.
And there's a few that I really want to read.
It's an easy read, too.
Is it a read? I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go that one too, because that one's probably been one of the most highly recommended books But I saw him in an interview, and he asked everybody, what's your superhuman power? What's the thing that defines you as
Currently?
Yeah, I asked both of you.
I know it sounds great. Discipline. I couldn't be the investor I am if I wasn't disciplined. I couldn't take the torment I get from people if I wasn't disciplined. I do my analysis, and if I'm like, some people think it's stubborn, and I look at it going, no, I will change my view when the appropriate information comes across, and I will not do anything that I do not believe in. I literally have people say to me, Paul, you're so hard-nosed, you're so closed-minded. I'm like, okay. I don't look at it as closed-minded. I sit there and say, I'm not closed-minded because I've actually sat there and thought it through and said, I'm not doing this. So my discipline is what, gets, it is almost a stubbornness.
Yeah, well, saying no is the hardest thing in the world, right?
But it's the most important thing for success.
100, I would...
100% it is.
I'll be honest with you. I struggle with it in a big way because I am a flyer, man. I like to.
I've struggled with it too.
Investment comes through and you're like, man, that would be a lot of fun. I hope it works.
And you know what?
Bitcoin.
And you know what? Maybe.
Bitcoin.
And you know what? I used to be the same way, and it took a couple of failures for me to go, you know what? It's not worth it.
I'm in this weird place. I've always been this weird place in my life where failure, if you would yell at me about failing instead of telling me okay, here are the steps on why you failed.
Yeah.
So I can learn. You had no business being around me.
Wait a second. Explain that again. What do you mean?
So
Give me an exact.
You talk about the journey, right?
Yeah.
So inside that journey, you have steps, right? And let's say the third step in that journey, I screwed up. Well, somebody who wants to comment on my failure better be productive with it. Come to me, not just to make yourself feel better, because I feel like a lot of coaches and stuff be like, man, you could have done better. That's garbage. How could I have done better?
Yeah.
Don't tell me I could have done better.
I just am.
Show me.
Gosh, I just had a sort of self-reflection last night as I was coaching young kids, and I have a tendency, they'll just throw a terrible pass and be like, we can't do that. We can't do that. And instead, let's, offer some advice about, I'm sort of like, that was bad. And I don't know if that's radiating.
That's 100% what he's talking about there.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we played tennis the one time, I thought you did it right with Gio. I thought you were a little hard with Gio, but you said to him, Gio, do this, try this. You said to him like, Gio, you're doing it wrong. Try. So that's why I'm surprised to hear you say that, because with Gio on the tennis court, when he was throwing the ball to you, you're like, no, Gio, I need you to put your foot forward and then throw, as opposed to, I think he was on his back feet or something like that.
Yeah.
So you were doing it the right way. I perceived it to be the right way, but then again, I'm an idiot. So
when people ask this question of what their superpower is, I sometimes struggle talking about myself, or like when I lost my job, I had to write my own resume, and I kind of struggled with it. But then when I'd ask my dear friends what's great about me, they would go on, and it felt great. But then you just chimed right in with like, I know exactly. But your discipline is insane. I think learning from your discipline is like, it's funny. It's like, I'd love to put myself in a position like you more, which is why we started this podcast. But then you offer up stuff for me to change. I'm like, I don't want to freaking do that. That's hard.
By the way, that's okay though.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to do what you feel comfortable with. The only thing I say is, if you're not achieving this, don't complain.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I talk about weight. We talked about losing weight, right? And
What are you at now? 174?
yeah, 174.2. And my low is 173.2. But I'm looking at it today just going, Paul, you're an idiot. You can do, like today, we're probably gonna go to lunch at this, right? And you're gonna say, let's go to Cozumel. And what am I gonna say? No. I thought about it, right? I'm like, no, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go get a salad from Heinen's. You're welcome to join me.
The chips and salsa.
I thought the same damn thing today. I was like, oh, we're going to Mexico today.
No, and I sat there and said, no, I'm not gonna do it. And it's funny because I thought to myself, Seth's gonna be like, come on, Paul, really? And I'm just gonna look at him and say, Seth,
Because I'm that fatty. Yeah.
it's important to me that I get to 170.
Good for you.
You're welcome to come join me for a salad. They have tons of other pre-made foods at Heinen's. You can get whatever you want. I'll pay, but I need to get my salad.
It's very nice of you.
But no, the whole thing I bring up is I can't make an excuse of, well, Seth wanted to get Cozumel today. Like, okay, I got to go get Cozumel. No, I'm just gonna be like, Seth,
I do that a lot. I do that a lot, man.
No, it's not your fault. It's
No. I do the same things. What I mean to say, I've actually started skipping breakfast and like the intermittent fasting type thing. And just for the simple fact, if I can cut out 1,000 calories and not feel any different, that's what I've been doing. I've been skipping breakfast. Well, we go down to Mexico, and they deliver that 9 a.m. beautiful breakfast every morning.
You know what I eat in Mexico? Burritos, Coke Zero, and salad for breakfast.
Yes.
At least
So,
it's Coke Zero.
What do you think? What do you think my superpower is?
Oh, I think your ability to engage people is incredible.
I was going to say the same thing.
Were you really?
I was gonna go a different way.
Oh.
Only knowing you, not a
Go on.
not a different way completely. I don't want to say
I
different.
love
way.
hearing this.
I was gonna say, and I don't know you from Adam, really, just met you, but I think from the two conversations I had with you, your happiness is insanity.
1,000%.
Oh.
It's
but
like,
you do get a little down about things, but your
do.
energy.
Does he show it to people though?
No, so
I spend
now-
a lot of time with
Yeah.
Seth, so
Okay.
I've had him live with me for periods of time. So
Gotcha.
if you can see when it turns, and you're like, but that's an experience thing that as he does more,
That's been helping recognize.
way better lately.
Way better, yeah.
Way better.
Well,
So-
when you meet your wife,
Oh,
because how I met your
Yeah,
wife,
she's a little overboard too.
and she is like on it, like she is, and it's you can tell when people are like being cheesy and fake, and when they're not, and you just tell that's who she is.
it's 100% her.
I was expecting somebody different than you on the phone, and
Oh.
you came in right after her, like, yeah, man, like, and I was like,
Oh wow. Well,
both of them are like simpatico on that side.
the
That
first
was
time I
amazing.
met Beth, I was just like, is this possible?
how is this a real person?
My best friend's mom
Somebody
is
take the
just
Duracell.
like that,
Yeah.
and still to this day, I don't think she's ever, and I know she has, but she's never showed me a sad moment in her life.
Yeah.
Not one. Like she's always there to
She
be happy
is.
and make you happy.
And you know what the other thing is? You respond very well with Beth too. Like if Beth gives you a constructive criticism, you're just like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Like,
Yeah.
it's very adorable. But I do think your ability to engage people and like, I can be sarcastic with people, which is very fun. And like I can have a conversation with anybody, especially if but you're like this, like, I'm more of like, I don't know, something cheesy, something really like, in like kind of
Well,
like
go back to the beginning of this podcast. I think it took you 20 minutes to warm up to Nick. I mean, you have to take people in a little bit,
It depends.
measure their bullshit level, and see if it matches up with what you agree with.
Yeah.
That's always an interesting thing for me too, because my direction has been so kind of different than most that I get a lot of strange questions because it's like the bullshit meter goes up on me,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
That's when the documentation has to come in, right? But ultimately, it's it was.
I'm trying to instill this into my kids. We were at a high school game last night, and my son Gio pointed out sort of like one of the starters on the team. He's like, "Oh, I know that guy," and I'm like, "Oh, does he know you?" No. I was like, "Just walk down and go shake his hand," and he's like, "I would never." And I'm just like,
Gio said he would never?
and I said, "You know what, Gio? 4 years ago, a guy named Paul Gabriel came over to me and said hello when he could have easily just avoided me for being nobody." I
And
was
hey,
like,
Gio, have you ever shook Kevin Love's hand?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've talked to
I
NBA
know.
stars. What are you talking
something
about?
about it. So I was like, hey, the next interaction could be, which is why my wife got hooked up with you, and I'm glad that we had this call. So you have one more for Paul?
It's one more. It's just more of a continuation of what you said before, but the high school kid thing was super fascinating to me
Because you have a 15-year-old daughter.
I have a 15-year-old, but I'm over the past 10 years, I've done 1,000 interviews, right? And hiring employees.
Yeah, tell me about it. What have you learned? What's the trend nowadays?
And I just, you get there 100% in that interview, and you have to be good with about 60% the rest of the time. And the ones you thought you got right, completely wrong.
Do you see that, Paul?
What's that?
The 100 versus 60. I love that.
Here's the thing. I don't like interviews. I don't do the interviews myself because the things I ask about in the interview are, I don't look at resumes.
I don't look at resumes either.
All I
I
care
look at
about
your
is-
name.
I'm willing to give anybody a chance, but don't be upset if like day 2, I'm like, you're out of here. Because if you can't get it done in day 1, then what are you doing here? Like when it's not going to get better.
Go back to high school kids, because I've always said, like, I would love to start with at Adapt Health. I'd love to bring somebody in from high school, teach them, give them internships in every part of our business, and teach them to be a great business professional on all aspects. Go deliver a product, see what those technicians go through, sit with customer service, and give them that education. And once they have that, then they can decide, okay, is this for me or not? Or go shadow a doctor, go do something like that.
Yeah.
Going straight to college for me was, if I was going to play soccer. And when that didn't come around, I was like, shit, I don't know what I want to do. High school didn't prepare me for anything, but I wasn't jaded. I had creativity. I was like, going into college, like the world was my oyster.
Where'd
I
you go
was
to high
still
school?
open, Brunswick.
Oh, Brunswick. Okay.
But I wasn't jaded to the world. So if somebody would have brought me in and be like, hey man, like I'm going to give you this education.
So Paul teaches every Friday at our alma mater, Walsh.
Every other
Jesuit.
Friday.
Every other Friday teaches a business class. And
When did you graduate from Walsh?
99.
99. Jerome Barbie is a good friend of mine.
No idea who that is.
Really?
He went to Walsh too at 99.
you know,
Who?
I got you. I beat you. I remembered one that you didn't.
Yeah, who's this?
Played soccer.
He's on our class.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, he was 97.
Yeah, he wasn't in
2
our
years
class.
older.
What
Yeah,
the fuck
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, I know a bunch of the
I
Walsh.
do know him though.
Do you really?
I don't know him. I remember him.
No, I
Man,
don't
this
remember.
feels good that I remembered somebody you don't.
No, I don't.
You got that steel trap.
97? No. Yeah, I don't.
My whole internationals team played for that. So it was Dustin Ducharme, Wally Sank, like all those guys were all my guys.
Did they go to Walsh?
I did not know to
No,
Brunswick.
did they go to Walsh?
Yeah, they all went to Walsh.
No, I know you went to Brunswick.
Yeah,
He said it twice already.
yeah.
He wasn't paying attention before.
I remember the couple of the names. Yeah, for sure. So
I beat up the soccer kids.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was like,
Such a bully, Paul.
I would throw chess pieces at them and say, hey, losers.
We got to fire up our 20-year was this year, so we got to fire up the old yearbook and see pictures of Paul in chess club. And,
Oh, wow.
oh, he was so handsome back then too.
No. I know why I was a virgin until I was 37.
Not that long, Paul.
Seth, you were there.
That's great.
Tommy boy.
Oh,
Oh, that's funny. Well, Nick, thanks for joining
That
us.
was a loud laugh from down. I liked it.
It was a little delayed back there. All right, Nick, thanks for joining us. Learn from Us
Appreciate
podcast. Thanks for having us on and having us on. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, anytime.
Well, he was
swing by the
he
house.
did a great job hosting. This
We should
second
have
half.
Nick be a guest host sometime.
I would love it. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. He has intriguing questions. He's got a whole list
He's
of
the
them.
Pierce Morgan of your Larry King. How about that?
Look at my list. Look at my list. It's a crib sheet of.
It's literally
bullshit.
hieroglyphics over there. What the hell does that even say?
All right, learn from us. Seth, Paul, Nick.
Peace,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Nick.
I appreciate you.